So today we're talking about two concepts that overlay for a wider solution to a lot of problems people face. The two concepts are the Pareto Principle, known as the 80-20 rule, and also concentrating your forces from Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power. Now, these principles are extremely important. These ideas, and not just the ideas themselves, but the implementation of these ideas, are what is going to bring you success. It's about maximizing your resources in one area. It's about focusing your time on the key tasks that are going to generate you success, as opposed to what most people do, waste time on menial, mundane, and bullshit jobs on their to-do list. So what if it's just 20% of your efforts producing 80% of your results? What if you could concentrate your energy on key actions that drive exponential success? Pareto Principle was named after economist Vilfredo Pareto. And essentially the rule states 80% of outcomes result from 20% of efforts. I'm going to say that again. 80% of outcomes result from 20% of efforts. So, how did he come about, or how did he realize this was the case? It came from a quite strange place, if I'm honest. He noticed that 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the population. Think about that for a second. 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the population. Everything is a pyramid in that respect. Those at the top own the most. But that's not really where this is going. In the stock market, 20% of stocks drive 80% of market gains. If you look at the major stock markets in the world, they are what's called weighted, which means that the index is made up and weighted by the size of the company. So if the big companies, your Teslas, etc., go up, the market generally goes up, and vice versa. In business, 20% of customers generate 80% of revenue. Your big clients are the ones that matter. If you work in a sales firm, the top 20% of salesmen close 80% of the deals or generate 80% of the business. And the next one, which is my favorite, and this is really the point of today, is personal productivity. Just 20% of your tasks generate 80% of your value. Now, let's just think about this. If you've got 5 tasks to do today, only one of them is a must. If you've got 10 tasks to do, 2 of them are a must. They're the key tasks. Let's say you've got 5 tasks, and I'm going to sort of make these up as we go along. Let's say one is to put the washing on. 2 is to do the dishes. 3 is to call your friend that you've not spoken to in 6 months. Number 4 is going to the gym. And number 5 is speaking to a potential client. Under the Pareto principle, it's not about spreading the time and getting all of those done, although that is good. It's about making sure that we are predominantly focused on the single task that is going to generate us the best growth. And in this case, It's not the dishes, it's not the washing, but it is speaking to the client. Now, that means that actually, if we understand that is the main task, we should be putting in as much back work and as much effort into that task as possible. That's the one that's going to generate us the biggest growth. If you think about going through life just doing the dishes, just doing the washing up, and you never did anything, in terms of educating yourself, applying for different jobs, looking at potential business ideas, starting something, whether it's a podcast or writing books, whatever it's going to be, I don't care. The return on investment of certain activities is a lot higher than others. And this is what the Pareto Principle is suggesting, especially with regards to personal productivity and growth. Why are you not then 100% all out on those key tasks? Now, that's where concentration of force comes in. Can you concentrate all of your resources into those main tasks? Let's use an example from history. Adolf Hitler, the Battle of Blitzkrieg through the Ardennes in World War II. What they did, Germany, is they concentrated their forces in a weakened, weakly defended area, which was the mountainous and forest region of the Ardennes, instead of fighting France, where they've got an army there to stop Hitler coming in. On the flip side, Hitler failed for a number of reasons. One is obviously he didn't listen to his men on the ground with regards to the weather being so severe in Russia. But the other thing he did is he split his army to go to England and to go to Russia. That lack of concentration of force is potentially what could have cost him the war and obviously the overall objective of his campaign. So let's look at a few other examples and go through some of the ones that we've already talked about in a bit more depth. Investing. Many investors diversify too broadly. Now, there is a caveat to that. If you're preserving wealth at retirement and you're looking to keep your asset and you're not looking at massive growth, you're not looking to accumulate hugely, you're looking to preserve and then decumulate, then that's slightly different. But for the majority of investors, you're looking to grow your asset. Look at Warren Buffett. He concentrated on high quality companies. If you think about a whole index, why not just focus on the main 20% of stocks? And look, it's very easy just to say, well, focus on those. You've got to know what they are first. But this is a principle. 80% of your gains are probably just coming from a few stocks, just 20% of them. What if you focused on those and removed underperformers? What about rising in the corporate world? What are the key moves you can make? What are the key emails you can send? Who are the key people you need to speak to? 80% of your recognition comes down to 20% of your efforts. Maybe it's key projects that you need to focus on to make you indispensable. Maybe it's the key emails. Like we all know, we've got emails in our inbox, and look, I'm not going to pretend that I don't do this as well. Everyone does. It's bad, and that's the sort of point of this. Is you have 10 emails. There's a few easy ones to send. Oh yeah, just attach this, whatever. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. Cool. And then there's a difficult email, a difficult one to a client or to explain a problem, and we put them off naturally. They're the ones we should focus on first. That's the 20% that we should put concentration of force into. What about your key relationships? 20% of your relationships are going to be the most important relationships. So why are you wasting time on those bollocks ones? Key skills. Most of your success is going to come down to a fifth of your skills. 20% of your skills are going to generate 80% of the results. So list the top three tasks you could do that create the most visibility in your career progress, maybe? Could you double down on them? Is it a qualification? Is it a job title? Is it a certain experience? Is it a business you need to get into? Is it a particular location? Is it a certain client that you need to get in front of? Only you know this. This is food for thought. What about business owners? Most businesses have 20% of clients contributing to 80% of sales, as I've said. What are those key clients? A football team. Most of their success comes from a single player, maybe a player and a half, two players. They're the indispensable ones. Coming back to daily productivity, because this is really important. Work on your biggest task in the morning. Try and reduce unnecessary things in your diary and block time out to do those important things. Maybe it's exercise. 80% of results come down just 20% of exercises. Are you doing inefficient exercises? Are you not doing the compound movements? Are you not doing your pull-ups? Are you not doing your calisthenics, which is core? Are you doing these stupid exercises that have no bearing on your key strength? Martial arts, even the key fundamentals of what you're going to have to focus on the most to become the best. Maybe it's key little diet changes, eliminating sugar, eating more protein, fasting. Again, very few things make up the important result. So, imagine this. Imagine you could only work 2 hours a day. What would you focus on? They're the things you should be doing and concentrating your force on those. You're probably doing many things, but there's only a few things that are going to give you the best chance of exponential growth. If you have many clients, if you could only keep 3 clients, which ones? Now, why aren't you giving them better treatment then? If they're the key clients, why aren't you looking after them and trying to get a very small client instead of servicing the existing? What foods should you be eating that are going to benefit your health? Are you focusing on the wrong things? So, first things first is to identify the 20%. What are those key things you need to be doing? Is it in work? Is it in relationships? Is it in finance? Is it in fitness? Once you've identified them, how can you maximize effort in those areas? How can you cut distractions? Where are you wasting energy on low yield activities? And just keep reassessing because in 6 months' time, those 20% activities might be different and you may need to reconcentrate your force in a different area. Think of a business, there's opportunities in different areas, and a lot of the time they need to continually move assets, i.e., staff, around to maximize the resource of employees in that particular area, man hours, in order to generate the best chance of success. So success isn't about doing more, it's about doing more of the right things. So how can you be more strategic, leverage key parts of your to-do list, let's say, and leverage that to get further in life? Where are you placing your time? Where is your time being spent? Is 100% of your time going to those 80% activities? 8 out of 10, the bullshit ones? Or is 100% of your time going into the 20%? Or even 80%, 90%? Because what we need to do to generate success is focus on that which matters most.